Hello, study desk.
Hello.
How are you, study desk? That has no one behind it.
Hello.
Hello, good morning, Joe.
Yes,
How are you?
I am fantastic.
Brilliant. And how is your morning so far? Your early morning so
Very
far?
good.
Very good. Brilliant. Okay, so I think you remember that we had said we'll focus now on what happens in terms of how food and how nutrients are absorbed from the food into the body so that the body can use it all.
Yes.
Yeah, and we had, remember we had gone through all the sections of the small and large intestine, as well as the rectum and the anal canal, which is anal cavity as well.
Okay, can I name the parts of the colon?
Yes. Well, yes. I was going to say, do you want to go through what we went through last week?
Okay, so there is the ascending colon, the transverse colon, and the descending colon.
Yes. And do you just want to quickly go through what happens when the food enters the small intestine up until, quickly, the parts that we covered. I can't remember what we covered completely.
We covered the parts of the
digestive system, right? Okay. So you remember this is all small intestine, large intestine, as you've already said.
Yeah. So they've done the duodenum.
Yeah.
Jejunum and ileum.
Yeah.
Ileum.
Ileum, yeah.
Ileum.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then we had said we're going to remove the names. Do you remember? So that we can start talking about what happens in each part of the body system. Now that we know where things are.
We keep the anus in the rectum.
Well, stuff happens there as well.
Because those are the parts of the body. Because those are the parts of the digestive, the thing, like the thing.
What is the thing?
No, they are important parts of the digestive system.
Of course they are, and as I said, we're not removing the organs themselves. We're just removing the names so that we can have space to write what happens where. Do you remember we talked about that last week?
Oh yeah.
Do you have the names in your diagram in front of you? Do you have all the labels?
Yeah.
Is your diagram well labeled? Okay, if you're not sure, remember if you're not sure about any section, just ask and I will tell you. I'll answer the questions. Okay, so now our lovely food bolus, remember, which is your bowl of pasta, went into your mouth, you chewed, you swallowed, it went into your stomach, obviously went down the esophagus.
Trapped, relaxed. Trapped.
Oh, you are frozen, yeah. And went down the esophagus and into the stomach. And in the stomach, remember the stomach secreted acid to activate some enzymes. Also it secreted some enzymes, and it also secreted mucus to protect the stomach lining from the acid. And remember the acid also activates some enzymes.
Yes.
The stomach also secreted hormones that help to tell you, Joe,
Huh?
the hormones, and you are
hungry.
Yes. So those hormones are important. So and once that the bolus gets into your stomach, obviously those juices, the juices secreted in the stomach and the bolus mix together, causing the bolus to be chyme, which is a semi-solid. Do you remember?
Yes.
And then that semi-solid, which is sitting there now, full, obviously because the stomach has expanded, then start to trickle into this first part of the small intestine, which is the duodenum.
Yeah.
And there's a valve there, remember? Again, peristalsis happens, the valve opens, a droplet comes in, closes, and that keeps happening until everything from the stomach, the chyme from the stomach is transferred into the duodenum. And then, are you okay, Joe?
Yes.
Okay. And then in the duodenum, we have bile from the liver, you remember? So the pancreas will, okay, let's start with the pancreas first. The pancreas will have pancreatic juice. Do you remember what is in there? You don't necessarily need to know. I mean, you don't necessarily need to be able to remember it completely.
And there are enzymes.
Yes, fantastic, yeah. Do you know the names of the enzymes? It's not necessary for this part. Okay, so the names you already know them because we're talking about them in the mouth.
Pancreatic lipase.
Uh-huh.
Pancreatic.
Uh-huh.
Why do I always forget one?
It starts with an A because you always think that you'll forget. If you think to yourself, I know them.
No, I do think to myself I know them, but then I just...
Oh, okay. Shall I tell you?
Amylase.
There you go.
Okay.
And also the pancreatic juice has something really, well, another enzyme as well which breaks down proteins. Shall I tell you the name? Remember, you don't need to remember the names.
Okay.
Do you want to know or shall we not?
Okay.
You don't necessarily need to know. The only reason why I'm mentioning it is because trypsin, I can't remember how to spell trypsin actually. Trypsin, it doesn't matter. The only reason...
What does it break the protein into?
Into small peptides, which are then further broken down into amino acids.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
The
What
only...
do they taste like?
Joe, when you eat protein, it tastes like protein. And protein is made out of amino acids. You can't then say what do amino acids taste like because amino acids are building blocks of proteins. So if you wanted to have a protein, you put amino acids together and then you'll have a protein. Like meat that you eat, that's protein. So the only reason why I'm mentioning it is because lipase breaks down fats, amylase breaks down starch to sugar, and trypsin breaks down proteins to amino acids. And pancreatic juice also secretes bicarbonate, which stops the acid from working. Have you ever heard of the word neutralize?
Yes.
Okay, so the bicarbonate will neutralize the enzyme, the acid, did I say acid? The bicarbonate will neutralize the acid from the stomach. You remember we said the stomach produces acid?
Yes.
And it's very acidic in there, but the stomach has a lining to protect itself, and it also secretes mucus to protect itself from that acid. So then when the food gets into the duodenum, oh, you're gone?
Wait, before you said that it used the mucus to protect the stomach lining.
Yes, it does.
But then why would it need to protect the stomach lining when the lining is not affected by the acid?
No. The lining can be affected, but the lining is protected, which means that it cannot be affected. has a lining, right? So that lining, if that lining protects it from the acid, but if the acid is constantly there and there is no mucus to be in between the lining, then the acid can, with time penetrate that lining. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So let's look at it like this, right? So this is the muscle of the stomach, this is the lining on top, then the acid sits there, but then the mucus comes in, and like that, to make sure that the acid does not touch the stomach lining at all. But if you remove the mucus, then